In continuation to the previous video on the subject, presented here are 7 more concoctions made by the conspiracy theorists in their subsequent video. This being part of their continuous attempt to distort the interpretation of the various investigation and inquiry reports on the death of Netaji in 1945. Excerpts from their misleading narration is presented here, followed by factual detail supported by documentary evidences.
Dr. Tsuruta told the Japanese government interrogator in 1955 that it was he who had issued the death certificate, and in the name of Ichiro Okura.
Here are the pages from the Japanese investigation report of 1955. Can he show in which page, which paragraph, and in which sentence of the report Dr. Tsuruta's statement is written? Theirs is random misinformation.
The death certificate was never found.
Rather, no one bothered to search for the actual death certificate written by Dr. Yoshimi. Dr. Tsuruta had informed that though he is not sure, I quote him, the hospital records were brought over to the military headquarters at Tokyo, unquote. But strangely, not even Mukherjee Commission made any attempt to approach the Japanese government for the hospital records. Why?
Justice Mukherjee exposed the fraud of Ichiro Okura death certificate.
It was not Justice Mukherjee, but Justice Khosla who debunked the Ichiro Okura case. Khosla said the death certificate and cremation permit of Ichiro Okura, quote, have no evidentiary value at all, and neither of them proves or disproves anything. They relate to a totally different person and not both at all. But strangely, Justice Mukherjee made a big issue out of these discarded documents and opined that the death of Ichiro Okura was passed off as that of Netaji.
Justice Mukherjee asked for cremation record of other 3 co-passengers of Netaji, General Shide, Major Takizawa and Aogi. But their cremation records were not found.
For the information of the viewers, I may say that the fate of Shide, Takizawa and another crew member in front is well documented. Captain Yamamoto, OC of the aerodrome, ground engineer, said after the fire had died, he, quote, found 3 bodies with all the flesh burnt but only the portion round the navel existing along with their bones. The charred bones of these 3 dead bodies were put in 3 separate wooden boxes. We dug the ground and buried the entrails. After putting the bones in small wooden boxes, we placed them in the Hongaji temple, unquote. On the same issue, Lieutenant Colonel Shibuya Masanari, stationed at Formosan Army Headquarters at Taihoku, said, quote, General Shide and Major Takizawa were killed outright in the plane, unquote. Major Takahashi, survivor, said, quote, General Shide could not get out of the aeroplane. He died inside the plane. Since the plane had crashed on its nose, all the members of the crew were killed, unquote. Assistant pilot Aogi, on the other hand, could be pulled out of the burning wreckage. He was taken to a hospital at Pieto, 20 kilometers away, but ultimately he did not survive. He died sometime between September and November 1945 as recorded by Tara Kono, another survivor. For obvious reasons, Justice Mukherjee could not find Aogi's cremation records as he searched the register up to 27th August only. It is absolutely clear that Shide, Takizawa and the crew member were not required to be cremated in a crematorium. Therefore, their names do not appear in cremation register. It is strange why Justice Mukherjee ignored these records. As for Ayogi, Justice Mukherjee checked the register up to 27th August, whereas Ayogi died months later.
Wherever they could not find strong evidences, Shahnawaz and Khosla put up their own assumptions in support of plane crash.
On the contrary, Mukherjee was full of assumptions in his bid to disprove the crash. Some of them are, he writes, 1. Quote, a secret plan was contrived to ensure Netaji's safe passage, to which Japanese military authority and Habibur were parties. Unquote. Mukherjee puts up no evidence in support of this statement. He doesn't establish in no way any secret understanding between Habibur and the Japanese military authority. Yet, he comments a secret plan was contrived. That Netaji was going to Russia was no secret to both the Japanese and the INA. It was secret only for the allies. Lack of evidence nullifies Mukherjee's assumption number 1. His second assumption, he writes, quote, it is thus seen that all the relevant documents lead to the irresistible conclusion that the death of Ichiro Okuda were passed off as those of Netaji. Unquote. Who but Mukherjee concluded? It's his assumption. Khosla didn't. Khosla clearly said the referred documents have no evidentiary value at all, and neither of them proves or disproves anything. They relate to a totally different person and not Bose at all. His third assumption, quote, Netaji's death therein and his cremation was engineered by the Japanese army authorities, including the 2 doctors and Habibur Rahman, and then aired on August 23, 1945 through a statement prepared by Sri S. A. Iyer at the dictation of the aforesaid authorities to give imprimatur of the INA to the death news of Netaji. Unquote. Mukherjee did not enlighten readers as to how a defeated Japanese authority sitting in Tokyo in those days of limited communication amidst post-war chaos and destruction engineered the 2 doctors stationed in Taihoku, Habibur on the move, Iyer stranded in Saigon, and then maintained their supposed secret over subsequent years and decades.
There was a plan, that is what Justice Mukherjee found. Very few people were involved in it. It was entirely possible to create a hoax without even Netaji stepping into Taiwan. Nobody saw him in Taihoku.
Nobody saw him in Taihoku. Well, waiting for the new story. By the way, what plan other than what we all know you are talking about? Mukherjee found out no other plan other than what we all know. Who were involved in the claimed unknown plan? No evidence given by Mukherjee of anyone being involved. You use the term, it was entirely possible to create a hoax, but have provided no evidence that a hoax was played. You are simply spreading rumor.
Shivraj Patil, Home Minister, was forced to speak up in the parliament. He manufactured the spurious reasoning, oh no, these things are so old. It's not possible to remember all those things. We are now so far removed. Justice Mukherjee's report was rejected by the government, only on the ground that it was inconclusive. Not on Netaji dead or alive.
For your information, the 28-page action taken report placed in both houses of parliament clearly brings out the flaws in Mukherjee's findings. Short duration discussions under Rule 193 were held in Parliament on 18th May and 26 July 2006. 13 MPs from 11 opposition parties participated, but none could counter the holes found in Mukherjee's assumptions. Shivraj Patil said, I quote him, if Netaji did not die in the plane crash, where has he disappeared? He just could not vanish in the thin air. it was well nigh impossible for someone like Netaji to remain hidden in some corner of Asia or elsewhere, running away from his cherished dream of freeing India from the alien rulers. Patil continued, under no stretch of imagination can it be said that he was coward, and seeing that the Japanese were surrendering and the Russians were aligning with the Allied forces, he would give up the fight for independence, leaving his comrades in the lurch and live a secluded, indolent life in some corner of this planet. This simply does not fit in with the fiery and indomitable character of Netaji. Unquote. Thus, at the end of several deliberations in Parliament, on 7th August 2006, the Home Minister explained that the JMCI had not answered its primary mandate, that is, where, when and how Netaji died. In addition, glaring shortcomings had been exposed in the report during parliamentary verification. Hence, after taking due care of all the observations, the government would have to reject JMCI findings. Unquote. Death in plane crash is established beyond doubt and recognized by every authority which matters. The discrepancies that doubters raise do not falsify the death in crash. They are due to the passage of time and the memory of witnesses becoming somewhat vague regarding matters of detail. It is a fact that Mukherjee's inquiry was the farthest removed in time from the incidents in question. Worse still, he could speak to only one witness of the time, that too 90-plus aged Dr. Yoshimi. In comparison, the first inquiry by Shah Nawaz could interview 27 Japanese witnesses, plus Netaji's companions of the time. The investigations carried out by the British, Americans and the Japs were also on people related to the incident. In fact, Shah Nawaz committee could not afford to be wrong. It seems they did a sincere job and thorough one, and sure, they'd have political reasons to find out the correct answer. Imagine, they declared Netaji is dead and he turned out alive. Shah Nawaz and Nehru would have no place to hide. So, Shah Nawaz and team had reasons to be objective and find out the truth. And of course, they had the big advantage of speaking to actual witnesses. A mystery, a very pertinent one. Why Justice Mukherjee, who was very meticulous in visiting all the archives in Russia, never queried anything from the Japanese government, especially when Netaji was under their care when last seen? He made no attempt to access the 5 Netaji files which were still being kept as secret by the Japanese government. As you have seen now, at every opportunity of their video, there is a misinformation, twisting or distorted representation of facts. Many viewers have not gone through the original documents and therefore unable to sieve facts from fiction. For their benefit, photocopies of extracts from original documents have been shown in this video, in contrast to dramatized narration dished out by the conspiracy theorists. It is now for you to revisit the video to realize the extent of distortion in their presentation and know the facts. Jai Hind.